Recently I reached 50 watchers over on my DeviantArt account, and I decided to do a 5-slot request giveaway as thanks to those who helped me reach that target. Today I'm drawing the second of the 5 requests. As of recording this, there is just one unfilled slot left, so if you have a DeviantArt account and watch my account, you can comment on my post there to get a free art request. I'll leave a link in the description below. I'll also be doing the same here on YouTube when I reach 50 subscribers, so if you aren't yet subscribed, click that subscribe button and ring the bell to move that counter that bit closer and keep an eye out. And on that note, I wanted to say thank you to those who've helped me get past the 20 mark here on YouTube. So our request here today was from Svqqr, and a big thank you to you for supporting my art and for encouraging me to make more. Svqqr requested 2 of her characters, Haruka and his police officer boyfriend, Tsukiyo, apologies if I butchered that pronunciation by the way, in a Valentine's Day shipping pose. So, let's get started. Svqqr kindly provided me with references for the 2 of them. Haruka had a few different outfits, and I settled on this nice looking casual outfit here. I like the colours and the chill, relaxed look. I love both their hairstyles by the way. I love drawing hair with plenty of volume to it. I then went over onto Pixabay to look for some nice Valentine's Day poses and settled on this one, but with a couple of small changes to facial expressions and the balloons themselves. I started off by sketching out the overall poses. I prefer to do this, especially when working with human characters, as 9 times out of 10 it lets me see if there are any small mistakes in the pose and proportions before I commit to line art. This is well worth doing as a mistake in the rough sketch will only look more pronounced when you move to line art. Been there, done that. Anyway, now that I've finished the sketch, it's time to move on to the line art. I'm keeping my brushstrokes not quite fully opaque here to give the piece a softer look. Once I'm done with the line art, it's time for colour. I've got the references here to get the exact colours I need. Time to add a little blush to the cheeks. Keep it nice and subtle. And now it's time for highlights and shading. I'm using a multiply blended layer set to about 40% opacity and a brush with the button pressed down, which lets the opacity be governed by pen pressure. I keep the brush strokes nice and light, letting me build up the shadows where I need them. Then for the highlights, I'm using a screen blended layer with the opacity set to about half and keep the brush settings the same. Again, I build up the highlights, softening them off with the eraser set to an airbrush-like setting where necessary. I also use a layer set to color dodge set to 100% opacity just to put in the metallic highlights on the badges of his uniform. And lastly, the background. I had another look on Pixabay for a nice park background where the two are meeting up. I settled on a nice, already slightly blurred reference of a green wide open space and a couple of what look like evergreen trees. I picked my colours and began blocking in the grass, adding in a swathe where the sun is shining brightly using a more light apple green colour and a darker area in shade. Then after softening the top edge of the grass and putting in the sky using a gradient, I turned my attention to the trees, roughly blocking in the darker colours before stippling in the smaller leaves on the edges. I then added in the darker centre and the brighter highlights around the edge where the sun is shining through. The last steps were softening up the overall trees with a gouache and blur, adding the last minute highlights to the leaves, lowering the opacity on the balloons to make them look more, well, balloony, and putting in a few small love hearts above the couple. And with that, I was done. Let's have a look at the final piece.